Hey there, race fans. It's Race Day Top 5 with me, Frank 5. The NASCAR Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The two series that get drivers started in the big mecca of stock car auto racing, NASCAR. And this weekend, they kicked out their seasons Friday night and tonight with some amazing racing, some tense moments, but some amazing racing and back-to-back winners to kick off the season from what they did a year ago. Let's get into all that went down. Starting off with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race last night, Zane Smith, the defending NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, kicked off his 2023 campaign, winning the Next Air Energy 250 at Daytona, holding off Tanner Gray, Christian Eckes, Colby Howard, and Grant Enfinger for the victory. Make it a long story short, the race was shortened after 80 laps due to Mother Nature. She put a damper on the night, but despite the rain, the racing was really competitive the entire night, seeing a lot of guys battling out side by side with those back tailgates, hanging it loose, especially in the turns. There were quite a handful. Had a lot of comers and goers, but the really strong trucks of the night were Christian Eckes, Grant Enfinger, Zane Smith, even some of the Thor Sport trucks like Matt Crafton and Ty Majeski were strong. But at the end of the night, Zane Smith had good track position at the end of the race, passing Corey LaJoie for the lead on what turned out to be the final restart of the night. In turn 3, put LaJoie in the middle, sent him back through the sucker hole, and Zane Smith held the lead in those final laps until the caution came out for Mother Nature. We red flagged the race. We tried to get back underway. Looked like we did, but then the mist just kept picking up and we couldn't do anything to get the race continued. So NASCAR called the race after 80 laps and Zane Smith was the winner. Zane Smith won the opener at Daytona last year, and that kicked off his campaign to score his first ever Truck Series title. He's going to try to do that again this year with Front Row Motorsports. It was a big night for Zane Smith and a big weekend for him. Of course, qualified for the Daytona 500 in his dual 150 race Thursday night, and he had a good truck in last night's race. They didn't qualify well, but they slowly, methodically worked their way up to the field with track position and a fast truck. They were in a precarious moment at one moment in the race when, in turn number 3, they were on the outside of Rajah Caruth, who tried to make it 3 wide, and he got bounced around and spun in the middle of the pack and collected a few other trucks. But nonetheless, Zane Smith ran a smart race last night and came out with the win. Frankly, deserved it, and he'll be a contender for this championship this year to defend his title. We had a lot of craziness tonight, a lot of side-by-side action. We had a couple wrecks. The first big one was in the middle of the tri-oval when Clay Greenfield was in the middle, spun around into the pack and collected Haley Deegan in her debut for Thor Sports. Sucked because she had a good truck at the beginning. Dean Thompson for Tricon Garage. Matt DiBenedetto in the Rackley War Racing Chevy Silverado, of course, the last Super Speedway winner at Talladega in the fall, and Daniel Dye, who escaped out of that with minor damage as well as DiBenedetto. Then they got caught up in an incident on the backstretch on the last lap of Stage 2 when Stuart Friesen threw a late block on Ben Rhodes and got turned to the outside wall, taking Friesen out of contention. They were able to finish but laps down. Rhodes got damaged, but he was able to take that truck and bring it back to an 11th place run. Not bad. A couple other trucks involved, and then the big wreck that I mentioned with Zane Smith barely avoiding was the one where Rajah Caruth was in the middle, and he got knocked around and spun in the middle of the pack, collecting Matt DiBenedetto again, collected Daniel Dye again. A couple of trucks that were up at the front. It was a shame because some of these guys were having some really solid runs. But despite Mother Nature cutting it a little short, it was some great racing last night. And congrats again to Zane Smith and his number 38 Front Row Motorsports team on the win, and we wish them the best of luck in the Great American Race. And then tonight, the Xfinity Series kicked off their season at Daytona, and it was quite a thrilling race with your normal Xfinity Series stars like Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier and John Hunter Nemechek back in Xfinity, as well as Cole Custer. You had Brandon Jones driving for Junior Motorsports. You had Daniel Hemrick, the 2021 Xfinity champion, and we had some new names in the Xfinity Series like Sammy Smith in the number 18 car. You had a lot of these young guns trying to make their names. This is a series where names are made. And back-to-back years, Austin Hill wins the season opener at Daytona in the Beef. It's What's for Dinner 300. And a kind of photo finish on the last lap when Justin Allgaier had the lead coming off of 2. He threw a block on teammate Sam Mayer. Mayer gets loose and spins in around the pack and actually flipped upside down. Almost similar incident to what happened to Mike Snyder last year, although this time Mayer didn't rip the catch fence apart. It was a relatively safe flip than it was a year ago. Mayer was okay, by the way. But at the end, NASCAR threw the caution flag with the yellow lights, and they had to determine by scoring loop and photo evidence when looking at who was in front the moment the yellow lights were turned on, who was in front, and Austin Hill was indeed the car in front of John Hunter Nemechek. It barely, like thousandths of a second, that close. It was that close between winning the race and losing the race. But in the very end, it was Austin Hill that came away victorious with the win, holding off John Hunter Nemechek, Justin Allgaier, Parker Retzlaff, and Myatt Snyder. Of course, Austin Hill, Speedweeks got off to a rough start by not qualifying for the Daytona 500 and his dual 150 Thursday night after he was caught up in a wreck on the backstretch, the one where Daniel Suarez turned Kyle Busch in the wall and some other guys behind him kind of, checked up, and some couldn't in time and they got caught up in the incident. And Hill was one of them, and he unfortunately didn't make the race. But he was able to make up for that today by winning the race. Actually started the day by winning the pole in qualifying, but before we got going, he had radio problems. He couldn't hear the team, so they had to bring the car down pit road, adjust the radio settings. They were able to finally hear him, but he had to forfeit his starting position on the pole and had to drop to the other field. But that car came through the field. That thing was a rocket ship. It was perhaps the fastest car in the race. There were other fast cars. Justin Allgaier was fast. Josh Berry was fast. But Austin Hill was the best car in this race by far, and he was ahead of a lot of chaos. He had a close moment in stage 2 where his teammate Sheldon Creed got turned by Parker Clearman. Creed ricocheted into the wall. He made brief contact with Hill, but Hill emerged out of that unscathed for the most part and was able to hold off challenges late from the Junior Motorsports cars and the Gibbs cars and anybody else that tried to take a shot at him. But Austin Hill in the very end just had a great race car. The defending winner of this race goes back-to-back, and a great start to his 2023 campaign. Definitely those top 3 finishers, Hill, Nemechek, Allgaier, you're going to hear them a lot in 2023. There's some good racing today. A little bit of chaos, but obviously there's young guns at Daytona that want to get the season started, and they're, obviously some of them inexperienced, but hopefully next time they'll learn how they ran today, and they'll learn for smarter racing next time. But great racing in general last night and today, and it was good to see Austin Hill and Zane Smith defend their race wins from a year ago as they start off 2023 with a banger. So with that all being said, tomorrow is the big day for every NASCAR fan. The Daytona 500, the 65th running of the Great American Race, and it kicks off the 75th diamond year of NASCAR competition since we started the series back in 1948 in a hotel when Big Bill France and a couple of executives got together and created the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. From there, that was history, and we've had amazing moments. And starting off our season with our biggest event yet, the Super Bowl of stock car racing, the Daytona 500. It's the one everybody wants to win. Everybody sure wants to win a championship. But the biggest thing other than winning a championship is getting that Harley J. Earl Trophy to kick off the new season of NASCAR. And tomorrow, 40 drivers will be battling it out for the Daytona 500. The big storylines and questions. Will Austin Cindric go back-to-back, something that hasn't been done since Denny Hamlin won back-to-back in 2019 and 2020? Will Kyle Busch and a brand new team, Richard Childress Racing, finally get the monkey off his back and win the Great American Race? Will the sport's most popular driver, Chase Elliott, pull through and join his father as one of the winners of the Harley J. Earl Trophy? Will Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. put behind a disappointing 2023 campaign and start out the season the right way with a victory? Will Kevin Harvick in his final season kick it off right by winning the Daytona 500 for the second time since that thrilling finish he had with Mark Martin back in 2007? Or, in a return to NASCAR after 2 years away in retirement and doing other motorsports, will Jimmy Johnson in his return to NASCAR get his third Daytona 500 trophy? I don't know what's going to happen, but all I know is you better tune in tomorrow, folks, because it's going to be quite a show. Don't forget, 2:30 p.m., the Daytona 500, only on Fox, and I cannot wait for it. So have a wonderful night, everybody. Get some rest and get ready for tomorrow's race. Subscribe, like, and congrats to Austin Hill and Zane Smith on their respective wins in the Xfinity and Craftsman Truck Series openers at Daytona. Have a wonderful night, everybody. The Daytona 500 is tomorrow. Let's go racing!